A jury has rejected E. Jean Carroll's rape claim against Donald Trump. That the jury just came back with that finding, but finds him liable for battery. They reject the rape, but they find him liable for battery, awarding her at least $2 million.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah,
Okay.
So, I mean, a rape is defined differently from state to state. And it usually involves some type of orifice being penetrated. That is extremely difficult to prove 20, 25, 30 years after the fact. But, and this is, I want to be clear, this is you saying this is my first time hearing of this verdict. However, one not need prove a digital or penile or whatever penetration in order to prove the definition of battery, which is an unwanted and unwelcome touching that did harm, right? So in the law, you talk about the eggshell skull plaintiff rule, where if you came at me and tapped my forehead, that's a battery if I did not want that, right? So I don't want to applaud the verdict, but it does sound like it sounds like a predictable outcome. I won't call it reasonable, but it's predictable, because it's very hard to hold a person liable for rape, criminally or civilly, without that physical evidence and without the evidence of text messages or emails or whatever might have happened.
Right. It was the 90s, so that didn't even exist.
It's hard to show that.
Right.
But it's also hard to deny if this woman gets on the stand and says, this man got me in this corner on this day at this place, and he ran up on me and he touched me and he grabbed me and he groped me in a way that was a battery. Right. And I can see finding liability on, because it's not guilt or innocence. It's important to remember when you're talking civil, you're talking NL or L, not liable or liable. I can very much see, and it's probably predictable, that a jury of her peers would find liability on a battery in a way that they couldn't get there on a rape.
Okay. All right. And for reference, OJ was found not guilty of killing Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, but he was found liable in a civil court of the same, well, not the same because it was a civil, but he was found liable.
OJ
did it. Yeah, he did. He probably do it. He probably did. He knew who did it.
Yeah, OJ is the most prescient experience that Black folks have with civil liability, even in the face of criminal not guilt, right? And so, yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah. So Trump, will he pay? Probably he'll file another bankruptcy. It'll be his 7th. To not pay. He probably won't pay, but he's gonna owe her. Carroll was able to sue for battery under New York's Adult Survivors Act, which was passed last year. So this is why people are asking why after 30 years, because she couldn't have sued him until this act was passed. So she didn't have legal precedence or any legal standing to be able to sue before this. So because of the New York Adult Survivors Act that was passed last year, that will allow people who were sexually abused a one-time chance to file a civil suit despite any relevant statutes of limitation.
That's right.
So that's why, because it's weird. It's weird that people defend things too. Like they'll defend Donald Trump, and I'm like, every time you do that, y'all tell it on yourselves, because you feel the kinship. Like you see yourself aligned with this behavior in some kind of way. It's like the R. Kelly defenders or the Bill Cosby defenders. Y'all, or even now the Jonathan Majors defenders. Y'all 2 weeks ago mad that the man was wearing pink, and now he's a victim. Make up your minds. You're making me dizzy. But this is very clear cut. I believe so. Trump not showing up, but them using his deposition videos. How, as a lawyer, how damning was that for him?
I didn't see the deposition videos, but I have to imagine that it was as good as the plaintiff's lawyers could have imagined, because a deposition is under oath. So everything you're saying is admissible and it's under oath, and you've sworn that it's the truth. So I can use all that, and your attorney has no opportunity to rebuild your character, right? It has no opportunity to combat or contextualize any of the damning things you're saying because you don't want to show up to testify. And so that is the utility of a deposition as a very, very extraordinarily useful tool in civil matters. Because you can't, for the most part, you can throw up some objections and defenses, but for the most part, you can't avoid a deposition. And frankly, a lot of people settle after deposition. If you get me in a position where I have to depose, then a lot of people settle. Of course, Donald Trump is a different kind of animal with a different kind of ego, and so he wasn't going to do it. But, you know, a lot of these lawsuits where you see big settlements like in the Dominion case, right? Shout out to Roy Wood, who had a great bit on Dominion, right? Dominion wins because they got Fox News executives in a deposition, right? And that deposition would have been, it showed that what was out there was extraordinarily damning, and you don't want to put that in front of a jury because it would have been more than 800 million, right? And so the deposition is an extremely useful tool. I love your show because you made a very important point that you don't have to be a lawyer to understand. E. Jean Carroll is suing because she now has a cause of action to sue. So on behalf of the National Bar Association, who I'm not authorized to speak for, but the National Bar Association is the black lawyers of this country, and even just not the NBA, but your neighborhood Negro lawyer at your Baptist church, please don't come up to them talking about you want to sue somebody or can you look into this for somebody if you don't understand that you have a cause of action. You have to have a cause of action to sue anybody. So do that 10 minutes of Googling before you ask your neighborhood family lawyer to look into something for you, because we got time, we got families and very little time as well. And you know you ain't trying to pay no lawyer. A lawyer is the only profession in the world in which they meaning the community, will approach you expecting you to work for free. You do not walk into a barbershop looking for a free haircut. You do not walk into my man Cliff Johnson's McDonald's in Dallas looking for a free hamburger, but you will walk up to a lawyer and say dance. And that's crazy. Can we please stop? Can we stop? And so that's all. I'm not going to complain. It's a privilege to be a lawyer.